Hello and welcome to another edition of Inside the Inferno. I'm Matt Weisker, and joined alongside me is Lachlan Matag. And Lachlan, the semester's winding down, but Arizona State athletics are heating up.
Yeah, Matt, many teams are just weeks away from their conference playoffs, and it makes for exciting times as we approach mid-April. From the court to the diamond, we have a lot to get into, so let's hop right in.
Starting off in the sand, beach volleyball is coming off of a near sweep in the Wildcat Spring Challenge down in Tucson. Their lone loss came against the #1 team in the country in TCU. Our Jesse Davis has an update on the team heading into the Center of Effort Challenge in San Luis Obispo, California, which features a rematch against the Horned Frogs and matchups against 3 of the top 5 teams in the nation.
Thanks, Matt. This weekend's COE Challenge is going to be a good test for a Sun Devils squad who's feeling confident after last week's performance where they won 3 out of 4 matches, with their only loss coming to the #1 ranked TCU Horned Frogs. ASU is currently ranked number 12 in the country, holding a 17-9 record. It is led by juniors Tori Clement and Kendall Whitmarsh, who hold the best record of any Sun Devils pair this season at 13-3. The duo was named Big 12 Pair of the Week for their stellar performance at the Wildcat Spring Challenge. ASU will also look to get revenge on #2 UCLA and #4 LMU after losing to both teams earlier in the season. The key for Arizona State is for each pair to get off to a fast start and finish strong, capitalizing on the other team's mistakes and not making unforced errors, such as missed serves. It's going to be crucial for the Sun Devils if they want to find success against 3 of the top 4 teams in the country this weekend. With only a couple weeks left in the season, head coach Kristen Glatfelder has to be pleased with how her team has been playing, especially down the stretch, winning 8 out of their last 9 as the Sun Devils gear up for the Big 12 Championship taking place on April 24th to April 25th in Fort Worth, Texas. Back to you guys at the desk.
Over to the hardwood now, where ASU men's basketball saw its season officially come to a close on March 31st after losing in the first round of the College Basketball Crown Tournament to the eventual champions, the Nebraska Cornhuskers. Since then, head coach Bobby Hurley and his staff have seen a big shift in their roster, with players graduating and departures via the transfer portal. Adam Coonan joins us in studio with an off-season update.
Thanks, Lachlan. In college basketball, the month of March is synonymous with the word madness, mainly because of the NCAA tournament. But over the past few years, the transfer portal has also served as a vehicle for chaos, with teams conducting massive roster overhauls and players switching teams more than ever. Arizona State and men's basketball coach Bobby Hurley remain no exception, as they've remained active in the portal and on the recruiting front to retool its roster after a slew of departures to the portal. With that being said, let's take a look at where ASU's roster sits as of today. First, let's start with departures. Some notable names include 2 of ASU's highest-rated commits in school history in freshman forward Jaden Quaintance, who went to Kentucky, and freshman guard Josan Sannon, who landed at St. John's. Quaintance is just one of 3 Sun Devil big men who will not be back next season, as junior center Sean Phillips Jr. also hit the portal, while senior Bashir Jihad has exhausted his eligibility at ASU. Additionally, senior Alston Mason wrapped up his final collegiate season, leaving the starting point guard job up for grabs. The good news for Hurley and company is not everyone left, as senior guard Adam Miller could potentially stick around, while freshman guard Trevor Best recently announced he will be staying to play for the Maroon and Gold next season. He joined ASU in the middle of the season last year and showed some flashes, including an 18-point performance against BYU. Additionally, Hurley reached into the transfer portal to pick up some transfers himself to add to the Sun Devil rotation in 2025, one of which will likely line up next to Best in the backcourt. Pepperdine transfer junior guard Mo Odom averaged just over 13 points per game and 7.5 assists for the Waves. Meanwhile, Cal State Northridge transfer sophomore forward Marcus Adams Jr. and Oakland graduate student transfer Alan McCabe looks to add to the scoring punch, as the sharpshooter Adams averaged 16.1 points per game on nearly 40% shooting from the three-point line, while McCabe averaged 14.6 per game and crashed the glass to average 7.5 rebounds per game. Finally, the Sun Devils also welcome an impressive recruiting class that includes a few 4-star recruits. 2 of ASU's standout commitments came recently, with 4-star forwards Marcus Jackson and Jayon Pitt committing just 5 days apart from one another. The newcomers will face a tall task in replacing the production of departures like Quaintance and Sannon, But in 2025, the freshman class should have less on their shoulders, as Hurley emphasized building a roster with greater overall depth to withstand the rugged Big 12. He certainly hopes that the additions he made in the portal and on the recruiting trail can accomplish that feat this season. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thank you for your insight as always, Adam. Staying indoors, ASU hockey looks to build upon the foundation of this past season after its elimination to the Denver Pioneers in the National Collegiate Hockey Conference Frozen Faceoff. In the week since the clash at the Excel Center in St. Paul, Minnesota, players have signed with professional teams and haven't lost a step in their careers. Our Mason McKenzie has the latest on these departures and some crucial key additions via the transfer portal and how they can add to the tradition of Sun Devil hockey.
Thank you, Matt. We've got some exciting news for Sun Devil hockey. First up, in the American Hockey League, senior forward Ryan Kerwin signed a 2-year deal with the Toronto Marlies, the AHL affiliate of the Toronto Maple Leafs. Kerwin, the Penn State transfer, was arguably the team's best off-season addition, averaging over a point per game and setting a single-season program record with 26 goals. He also earned conference honors, including 3 NCHC Forward of the Week awards. Forward Artem Schlane also signed in the AHL, joining the Texas Stars. In 31 games this season, Schlane scored 14 goals and 17 assists in the conference, finishing second in goals and 7th in assists in the NCHC. On defense, graduate student Noah Beck and senior Ty Murchison signed some NHL contracts. Beck signed a 1-year entry-level deal with the San Jose Sharks. He earned all NCHC second-team honors this season with 33 points, including 5 goals and 28 assists. Murchison will begin a 2-year entry-level deal with the Philadelphia Flyers after setting a program record with 98 blocked shots and winning the NCHC Defensive Defenseman of the Year award. Heading to the East Coast Hockey League are senior defenseman Ethan Schmaggy and senior goaltender Luke Pavicic. Schmaggy, the Maroon and Gold's captain this past season, is joining the Savannah Ghost Pirates, and Pavicic is heading down to the Sunshine State, joining the Orlando Solar Bears. Looking ahead to this upcoming season, the Sun Devils are welcoming sophomore forward Logan Morrell, who transferred from Michigan Tech. The Mesa, Arizona native posted 12 points in 23 games for the Huskies last season and should add even more depth to the Sun Devils lineup. Back to you guys.
Moving outdoors to the Diamond, where ASU baseball is coming off an up-and-down 3-game series against Arizona. It was a hotly contested weekend that featured record-breaking attendance at Phoenix Municipal Stadium. Tanner Buck is here to recap the series. Tanner, both of these teams came into the weekend pretty evenly matched.
Yeah, Lachlan, the two teams entered this series with similar records, but the Sun Devils came in especially on fire as they rode a 4-game winning streak and held a record of 12-5 with an average run differential of 7.5 in those last 4 wins. Meanwhile, their in-state rival Arizona came into this series with a record of 12-4.
So let's dive into the series. How did the Sun Devils do against the Wildcats, Tanner?
ASU dropped the first 2 games in the series, losing 8-5 and 5-3 on Friday and Saturday. However, they managed to win the last game 8-4, which snapped a 5-game losing streak to the Wildcats to end the series. Some key things to mention are their offensive struggles in the first 2 games. The Devils hold a 20-4 record when scoring 5 or more runs and are ranked 3rd in the Big 12 Conference with a batting average of .316. Yet that offense failed to show up for the majority against the Wildcats. On the defensive side, 9 of their 11 losses have come when they have given up 5 or more runs, which played itself out in the first 2 games.
So despite the series loss, what are some positives that the Sun Devils can take away from this series?
Something positive Arizona State can take away from this series is the resilience they showed in the last game of the series, coming back from a 4-0 deficit in the 4th inning by scoring 8 unanswered runs, avoiding the sweep. Arizona State moved to a 20-2 and 11 record after securing a win last Tuesday against Cal State Northridge and currently sits tied at 4th in the Big 12 with an 8-4 conference record. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thank you, Tanner. Your insight is always appreciated.
Staying on the Diamond, our Kobe Bronstein joins us here at the desk to discuss more ASU baseball. Kobe, thank you for being here. Now, Big 12 play has been underway for just about a month now, and like we talked about with Tanner, ASU is in a solid position on the pitching side, but Who do you think has made the biggest leap recently?
Yeah, I mean, by far it is sophomore reliever, left-handed pitcher Cole Carlone. He had the best performance at reliever in the bullpen in Sunday's win against Arizona, but we'll put that aside for just a second because there's a bigger trend to make note of. Since March 16th, Carlone has not allowed a single earned run, logging over 13 innings in that span, and he's retired 26 consecutive batters dating back to March 25th against UNLV. That is ridiculous. So with that being said, now I'll circle back to Sunday's masterclass. Carlone went 13 up, 13 down, and 4 1/3 innings pitched with 10 strikeouts. And he came into the game when the Sun Devils were losing 4-0 before storming back to capture the game late. But yeah, Carlone has been rock solid and is certainly on a heater right now.
And yeah, Kobe, the Sun Devils scored 8 unanswered runs to beat Arizona and are fresh off a 20-run outburst in Tuesday's win over Cal State Northridge. Who's impressed you offensively the most in these last few weeks here?
Yeah, Lachlan, I mean, the first name that comes to mind is senior infielder Matt King, a transfer from UTSA. He has been scorching hot ever since the Utah series in Salt Lake City, where he hit 9 for 14. That's a .643 average in what was a crucial 3-game sweep against the Utes. And just look at the body of work across 29 games so far in the Maroon and Gold. He's hitting .393, which leads the team. He's on a 10-game hitting streak, which is the longest of his career, 7 of those being multi-hit games, by the way. And then he carried an 8 at-bat hitting streak over 3 games that was finally snapped in his last at-bat on Tuesday. He was 1 hit away from tying a record set by Mike Pagel in 1982, who, fun fact, actually went on to become an NFL quarterback for over a decade instead of playing pro baseball. But Matt King has been terrific, and it's safe to say that he's found his stride in 2025.
Now, King has been a staple in that middle infield, and there's a corner outfielder that has made a lot of noise, too, in freshman outfielder Landon Hairston. How valuable has his presence been for this lineup?
Yeah, Hairston has been absolutely huge. He's been firing on all cylinders. He's hitting .349 and getting on base at a .482 clip, which is significantly more than a percentage point higher. And you know what set Hairston apart, too? He's hitting .400 in innings 7 through 9 this season, 12 for 30 in crunch time. He's got that clutch gene. It runs in the Hairston bloodline. His dad, Scott Hairston, played 11 years in the big leagues, and Landon's a local product from Queen Creek. You'd have to imagine that this experience as a freshman will bode well down the line for Hairston.
Thank you so much for joining us as always, Kobe. Sun Devil Baseball will be away this weekend on a 4-game road trip with 3 games against Cincinnati and concluding with a Monday afternoon tilt against Purdue. They'll return home on Thursday for a big 3-game series with conference rival Texas Tech.
Switching gears to the softball diamond, the Sun Devils hit the road to Salt Lake City to face off against the Utah Utes in a 3-game series, with the Devils coming off of 4 wins in their last 5 games. Our Tyler Wargo has a preview of the trip up north.
Thanks, Matt. Sun Devil softball heads to the Beehive State tonight to play the University of Utah. Utah has a record of 12-27 as they are currently on a 4-game losing streak. On the other hand, Arizona State looks to keep its momentum going, riding a 3-game winning streak after beating the Jayhawks in its last game of the series. The Maroon and Gold recently swept the University of Texas El Paso in a 2-game road series. Notable players to recognize during this matchup are senior utility players A.J. Murphy and senior right-handed pitcher Kenzie Brown. Murphy has hit 3 home runs and 17 RBIs this season. Brown, who ranks 2nd in college softball in strikeouts with a .208, boasts a 1.16 ERA. She is also tied for the Big 12 lead with 15 wins, as this is her first season back since being injured last season. One last standout player for the Sun Devil squad is freshman outfielder Ashley Mejia, as she put together 3 RBIs, 2 hits, adding 1 run during her last game. Overall, the Sun Devils sit at a 5th place according to the Big 12 standings, as they have 3 conference weekends remaining on their schedule. They'll head back to Tempe after Salt Lake City for the final 4 times of the season. Until then, there's still work to do starting in Salt Lake City, as the Devils have plenty of confidence and momentum going into this game. Back to you all at the desk.
Thanks, Tyler. Over to tennis, where the seasons are winding down for both the men's and women's teams. The women's have 2 matches on the road this weekend, and the men play host to their in-state rival, Arizona, on Saturday. Our Jessica Poole is here in studio to preview the last weekend of the regular season.
The Sun Devils men's and women's tennis teams are gearing up for the Big 12 championships next week in Waco, Texas. But first, Both teams will wrap up their regular season with key matchups this weekend. Today, the women are facing a tough number 15 Texas Tech squad and the University of Colorado on Sunday. They are currently ranked number 33 nationally with an overall record of 12-7 and 7-4 in the conference play. On the men's side, the Sun Devils will face off against their in-state rival, the number 12-ranked University of Arizona, on Saturday. They last faced each other on March 1st, with the UA securing the victory. The men are ranked number 37 with an overall record of 12-9 and 3-4 in the Big 12. Both ASU men's and women's tennis are looking to bounce back from losses to build momentum heading into postseason competition. Back to the desk.
Thanks, Jessica. Heading out to the greens, the men's golf team is gearing up for a homecoming at the Thunderbird Collegiate following a tied second finish with Oklahoma State and a third-place outing on Sunday of the Merido Invitational. Subsequently, the women's team is preparing for the Big 12 Championship in Houston Oaks, Texas, after a second consecutive first-place finish at the Ping ASU Invitational. Our Gabby Salguero previews the events on the horizon for both programs.
The third-ranked Arizona State men's golf team is staying local this week to defend its title at the Thunderbird Collegiate, one of the longest-running tournaments in college golf. The Sun Devils won both the team and individual titles the past 2 seasons. Although they will be without 3-time All-American senior Josele Ballester, the Sun Devils still have a stacked roster, which includes senior Preston Summerhays, currently ranked 11th in the world amateur golf rankings. Summerhays is looking for a three-peat as an individual champion. 10 teams will compete this weekend, including ranked programs like Utah and UCLA. But the spotlight remains on the Sun Devils as they look to dominate once again, right in their own backyard. And Sun Devil women's golf dominated the 2025 Ping ASU Invitational at Papago Golf Club, claiming the title for the 28th time, hosting the 52nd edition of the tournament. Number 9 Arizona State crushed the competition with a 13-stroke victory over defending champs number 12 Northwestern. Their 36 under par through 3 rounds is the second lowest score in program history and a new record for the tournament itself. With 3 team titles this season, ASU is firing on all cylinders heading into postseason play. Head coach Missy Farr-Kay said she's incredibly proud of the team's hard work and commitment to the Sun Devil legacy. This marks her 21st team title since taking over in 2015. The Sun Devils are officially a team to watch.
Thanks for the update, Gabby. That will bring our show to a close. And Lachlan, it was an honor to share the desk with you, and happy birthday, my friend.
Thanks, Matt. I appreciate it. You know, not a bad way to spend a birthday if you ask me. But on that note, that'll just about do it here for this installment of Inside the Inferno. Don't forget to follow us on X and Instagram at Inferno Intel, and check out our website at infernointelmedia.com. For Matt Weisker and the rest of our crew, both behind the scenes and in front of the camera, I'm Lachlan McTagg. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time on Inside the Inferno.